Pound weight class just a couple times in the past, mostly to see Fernando Montiel. Here we go again as Montiel takes on an opponent who was brought into the fight 9 days ago, Everth Briceno of Nicaragua. And you can see that they are 1 year apart in age, 1 inch apart in height, a ½ inch apart in arm length, advantage to Briceno. They both weighed in at the 115-pound weight limit yesterday. Montiel has put on 14 pounds overnight, unofficially, and will enter the ring at 129 pounds. He's a junior lightweight fighting in the 115-pound weight class, and Briceno himself put on 8 pounds overnight to move up to 123. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Fernando Montiel Everth Briceno fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the U5 rules.
Everth Briceno has had 23 professional fights. He's won 21 of them, 17 by KO, but every fight took place in Managua, Nicaragua, when the Nevada State Athletic Commission essentially disqualified American fighter Eric Morel from this fight because of a violation of a moral turpitude clause in their bylaws. They had to reach out on extremely short notice to find somebody to fight Montiel. And here we have Everth Briceno, who wouldn't have been expected to see the light of day. Larry Merchant, talk about a throwback to the old school. This guy fought only 15 days ago.
And good for him. So he was, they found somebody who was ready physically anyway. Incidentally, I'd like to offer my approval and thanks to the Nevada Commission, which we've taken some shots at the past, for making, I think, the right decision regarding Eric Morel.
Morel, who had pled no contest recently to sexual assault involving a teenage girl and has a couple of other black marks against his legal record, was set aside by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. They said they'd like to see Morel rehabilitate his record in society a little bit more before he gets a chance to fight in this state again. Fernando Montiel prepares to enter here. He's been holding a title belt in the 115-pound weight class for the past few years, and will be trying to hold on to it here, though entering the ring, Larry, at 129 pounds. Quite an advantage.
Yeah, it sounds to me like he's blessed with the ability to boil himself down for that 1 second when he gets on the scale at 115, and after that immediately climbs. Maybe that accounts, Jim, for his lack of good humor. Remember, we saw him a couple years ago, and he was a lively, upbeat kid. Yesterday, he seemed very, very subdued. Also, in part because he got beat up pretty good by Mark Too Sharp Johnson a couple years ago. That derailed him.
That's middleweight contender Kingsley Akeke greeting Montiel in the corner. Let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, Golden Boy Promotions in association with, presents a World Championship bout sponsored by Remy Martin and Icelink Watches. Sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, the 3 judges at ringside: Adelaide Bird, Raul Caiz Sr., and Bert Clements. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action inside the ring, Tony Weeks. And now, 12 rounds of boxing for the WBO Junior Bantamweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white with green, official weight 115 pounds, professional record 21 victories, including 17 knockouts, with 2 defeats. He comes to us from Chichigalpa, Nicaragua. Here is the challenger, Everth Briceno. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing yellow with red, official weight 115 pounds, professional record 30 victories, including 24 knockouts, with only 1 defeat and 1 draw. Damas y caballeros de los Mochis, Sinaloa, Mexico, the reigning, defending WBO Junior Bantamweight champion of the world, Fernando Montiel.
Let's go. Caballeros, ustedes recibieron sus instrucciones. Mira, aquí está bien, aquí no. Mira, aquí está bien, aquí no. Yo quiero una pelea limpia. Escúcheme, cuídate. ¿Listos? Vámonos.
Dare we hope that this opponent performs better than the last opponent?
What's funny is that Briceno looks bigger than Morel here.
And he
Montiel,
he does come from a fighting family. His father and brother were professional fighters. So let's see what he has to offer.
Well, I mean, the classic case in point here is that of Lennox Lewis, who 2 summers ago took a fight against Vitaly Klitschko. Klitschko coming in on 11 days' notice, and Lewis almost wound up with a loss he hadn't bargained for. If Briceno is in some way an entirely different fighter from Eric Morel, the guy for whom Montiel prepared, that could be a problem, right, Roy?
Yeah, it could be.
Well, Morel was a boxer, a left southpaw, if I recollect, and a mover. So this is obviously a different kind of an opponent.
Particularly given that Briceno has 17 knockouts in his 21 wins, might be regarded as a puncher, although, of course, we haven't seen the opponents he's been knocking out in Managua, Nicaragua. Nicaragua, of course, home to 2 very prominent fighters in the last 30 years. Alexis Arguello, an all-time great. Ricardo Mayorga, maybe just a flash in the pan, but interesting at least for a year or so.
Vernon Forrest thought so.
Montiel, like so many Mexican fighters in the lower weight classes, has a good left hook. He can box, and he can punch enough to have numbered 24 knockouts in his 30 wins.
Yeah, Briceno does not seem to be a big puncher at all.
Good hard left hook on the forehead by Eric Montiel. Briceno stalking Montiel, but from a distance. And so far, Montiel easily able to pop Briceno as he's coming in.
The Briceno doesn't seem to have much speed, so Montiel is countering the slow punches every time he lays one of them out, just like that. 3, 2, 1. Just like that right there.
Absolutely. Just as Roy points out, Briceno lays a hand out there. Montiel rapidly lands 3 punches in return. Right hand across the top landed for Briceno. No real damage. The hand speed advantage for Montiel, very apparent here in the first round.
And so is the power.
So the key for Montiel will be not to make any unwarranted mistakes. And as they speak Spanish in the corners, our interpreter is Ray Torres.
Be careful, nice and careful. You gotta get out quickly. Yeah, and move around. He's throwing that left hook. Oh, that right hand. Oh, nice and calm. Yeah. Listen to me. Yeah. You gotta work with more combinations. Yeah, you first. You come on, more combinations. Yeah, you gotta be first. All right? Yeah. Again, more combinations.
Montiel's trainer is his father.
And in Briceno's corner, the chief second is Rosendo Alvarez, who was a great fighter at 108 pounds and probably the guy who came closest to defeating the unbeaten Ricardo Lopez.
Montiel really is throwing some beautiful counter punches against this guy.
Fernando Montiel, who incidentally is a rarity in the sport, preferring short, relatively tight trunks as opposed to the larger ones that are so in vogue these days. Good uppercut there by Montiel as he was stepping in. Hard to hit a guy with an uppercut when he's going backward. And the beginnings of a pretty good tackle. Oh, uppercut landed from Montiel. And that time, Briceno wasn't backing up. Montiel with a good body shot right on the belt line. Kind of picking his spots here in the second round and taking his time, showing a lot of patience.
Well, he has no fear here. I mean, he's stronger than the guy. He's faster than the guy. So he's not worried about this guy at all. He just takes his time, lands what he wants to land, and moves on.
Good left hook to the body there, and then Montiel once again stepped away before Briceno could even begin to launch something in return. Watching Everth Briceno throw these punches, you realize if he's knocked out 17 guys in Managua, those are 17 fighters we're not likely to see.
I'll have to say this for the crowd. They're certainly saving their energy for the later fights.
Well, that was a good overhand right that Briceno landed, though. I think it got Montiel's attention at least.
Well, maybe that'll give Montiel a little bit more of a sense of urgency, which would help all of us. Oh, perfect right hand as Briceno was coming in. Montiel again landing up and under. September 17 on pay-per-view, Marco Antonio Barrera faces Robbie Peden in a featherweight unification fight, and Shane Mosley continues his comeback at welterweight as he takes on Jose Luis Cruz. Shane dropped by earlier.
This will mark his first fight under the banner of Golden Boy. He's just joined that promotional company.
Meanwhile, here is Jermaine Taylor, Little Rock, Arkansas, or mar his confidence. And all week long, there is no external sign from Taylor that any of that has taken place.
Well, not only that, Jim, but just as we were going to dinner at a local restaurant here in the hotel, he was finishing dinner with about 18 or 19 of his best friends and relatives, his wife, his promoters, his trainers, laughing, having a good time. If he was suffering any stress, he looked about as relaxed as a piece of pasta.
It's been said that as many as 4,000 Arkansans are making the trip to Vegas this weekend to support Jermaine Taylor. So some say this will be a Taylor house tonight when he and Hopkins enter the ring. We'll have to wait and see. Everth Briceno landed one overhand right in the last round, as Roy Jones pointed out. And he has attempted 3 or 4 times to get in another one, but now Montiel is blocking that right hand with his left glove.
Out. No. No, I can see this one. Come on.
Once again, it's Everth Briceno of Nicaragua in the white trunks with green trim. Fernando Montiel of Mexico in the gold. Montiel hails from the tiny Mexican town of Los Mochis. He's one of 2 champion prize fighters from that town. The other is the wildly entertaining Jorge Arce, who fights in a weight class below Montiel. And Montiel himself says, yes, absolutely, I'd love a showdown with Jorge Arce. In fact, it's not just a good fight because we're both from Los Mochis and both have titles. It's personal. Personal enough that he wouldn't tell us what the personal factor was.
It's interesting you should mention that, Jim, because Arce has, you know, some of the sizzle that we used to see in Montiel. Ever since his loss to Mark Johnson, he's sort of toned his stuff down. He may be a better professional than he was then, for all I know. I haven't seen a lot of him. But he had some obvious body language and juice before he fought Johnson that we just don't see here, even though he is dominating the fight.
Well, he used to wind his hands and dance back and forth a la Ray Leonard. You know, adding some showmanship to his fighting style.
Yeah, and Arce certainly has that.
A lot of that. As much arrogance as you can package into 112 pounds.
It's a title for us, for Nicaragua. Come on, Everth. You're stronger than he is. Come on, let him feel your punch. Come on, way to throw more combinations.
¿Estamos? Sí, okay.
How we doing? Let's give him some water.
Estamos, hijo.
We're doing fine. Yeah, you move your left hand more, and you be first. Move your in the circle. Your left hand. Come on, all we need to see is just the left hand. Fernando's all we need.
You think, Roy, it might have something to do with the weight when a 115-pound fighter adds 14 pounds overnight? That's a lot of weight. That's a very high percentage of his weight, and whether that has made him a little listless or I'm not sure what to attribute it to.
I don't know. So sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes the loss can do that. It takes the fire out of some guys. But to beat Arce, he definitely will have to get some of that fire back because Arce is a little ball of fire right now.
He's an aggressive fighter, no question about it. Harold Letterman, how do you have it through 3?
Okay, Jim. 30-27, 3 rounds to nothing. Fernando Montiel. Jim, I gotta tell you something. This is a very, very unusual fight. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw a fighter, especially a world champion, back up the entire fight constantly, okay? Lets the other guy come to him. The other guy lunges, and Montiel nails him. I mean, either he gets him with an uppercut, he gets him with great body shots like you just saw there, tremendous left hook. I mean, he's really got this guy totally off balance. I don't know what to do. Look at that. The guy's lunging in, and Montiel's backing up, and he nails him. 3-0, Montiel.
Well, now, Roy, Harold makes a great point. Montiel is obviously very comfortable fighting backing up, very comfortable in the role of counterpuncher. Briceno wants to make the fight. If he doesn't, then not much is going to happen, right?
No, because Montiel is quick enough to know that if he needs to get off first, he can and beat Briceno to the punch. But why? It's much easier to let Briceno make mistakes and counter those, so that's what he's doing.
And if Briceno were suddenly to stop being the aggressor and stop coming in, he would have given the fight away because Montiel's already won the first 3 rounds.
Pretty much.
Well, this is the dilemma of fighting a great counterpuncher. I mean, we all saw Manny Pacquiao charging after Juan Manuel Marquez round after round last year. And Marquez, in the eyes of one judge, Guy Jutra, won all those rounds. Backing up.
What Montiel can't do is get tired here because I can tell you what, Briceno has no plans on slowing down his offensive attack.
And Briceno, having fought 15 days ago, and as he says, I stayed in the gym, is obviously in great shape for the bout. Incidentally, his face was perfectly clear yesterday. I asked him, I said, in the 4th round knockout that you scored 15 days ago, am I safe in assuming that you didn't get hit? He smiled and said, not at all.
Well, he's getting hit here, and he seems to be handling it pretty well.
Briceno still pressing the action. By far the higher quality landed punches belong to Fernando Montiel. Just a short time ago, Bernard Hopkins arrived with...
It's the 2 biggest money fights he can get after tonight. If he wins tonight, he says he wants to fight Antonio Tarver, the light heavyweight champion, and then possibly the guy sitting between us, Roy Jones.
And incidentally, tonight means an hour and 15 minutes from now. That's when Jermaine Taylor and Bernard Hopkins can be expected to enter the ring. There's one more fight on the card between now and then, and it could be a terrific fight between Oscar Larios and Wayne McCullum. I say that partially because you're not seeing so far a terrific fight here. Fernando Montiel dancing away and picking his spots judiciously against an increasingly desperate Everth Briceno.
Out.
Referee is Tony Weeks. Some of you may have seen the tremendous fight earlier this year between Jose Luis Castillo and Diego Corrales, probably the leading candidate right now for Fight of the Year, if not, in fact, Fight of the Decade. Weeks, of course, was the key figure in that fight in the 10th round, having to deal with Diego Corrales and his spat mouthpiece on 2 occasions before Corrales eventually recovered and knocked out Castillo.
That was sort of a little Ali shuffle.
Yep, that's a little bit of Montiel's showmanship. Quick Ali shuffle.
I think he's getting as bored as many of the people are here.
Maybe we'll even see the bolo punch. Something he hasn't done since the Mark II Sharp Johnson fight.
Roy, does the fighter sense that the crowd is sitting this one out? I mean, you maybe not have experienced too much of that, but I mean, there's people just sitting back here almost like they're waiting for the sun to come up.
That's why you see Montiel trying to do something different. He knows that the crowd is actually sitting this one out, so he's trying to do something to maybe wake him up for a second, but it didn't work.
No.
Roy, Montiel led with an uppercut twice in a row. Are you saying to your opponent, you really don't belong in the ring with me?
Basically.
I can do anything?
Anything I want to when I get ready.
Suéltalo.
Both of those punches landed on the gloves.
Yep.
Nomás empezaste a moverte, usar tu izquierda, es todo.
You got to use the left and move.
No tiene otra opción, hay que recibirlo adentro.
You got it inside. You can do this. Yeah, when he moves, he doesn't do nothing. You got everything under control.
Bien hecho, bien hecho.
Nice, nice.
Ya está resintiendo, ya está resintiendo el golpeo.
Ya sintió los putazos.
He felt it. He's feeling your punch. Don't let down. Don't let off.
No te está viendo nada,
Siempre haga el círculo, siempre moviéndose. Siempre.
Súbele, te mueves. Te mueves y no te ve. Vamos.
Round 6 begins. Through the first 5 rounds, the average CompuBox count per round: Montiel 12 out of 46, 26%. Briceno 9 out of 63, 14%. Those numbers alone tell you it's not an entertaining fight, because we haven't seen big punches by and large.
Here's another silly question, Roy. The color of the gloves. You think the color of the gloves can make it easier to see a punch coming?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's a big object right there in front of your face anyway, so, I mean, it doesn't matter what color it is.
I mean, if they're red or blue, you don't think that one color attracts the eye maybe better than another?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm glad you cleared that up.
I got a silly question while we're expending our storehouse of silly questions here, and I think it's a great fight for it. Fernando Montiel is trained by his father, Roy.
Yep.
I think it's great for a young fighter in the developmental stages of his career to have the continuity that comes from being trained by your father, normally the person who's brought you into the sport. If he's a good trainer, as was the case with Jack Mosley, it can be terrific.
Right.
But I could list 24 fighters for you in that situation who I think stagnated in the middle of their careers and stopped learning. Do you think that at some point most every young fighter has to envision, as you did, the possibility of getting away from his father?
At some point, yes, because most of the time what happens is you start that relationship at such a young age that the father only knows how to deal with you as a kid. They don't really learn how to deal with you as a grown-up individual. Therefore, as you get to be an adult, which you will have to be in order to truly dominate this game, because you're going to take on whatever that comes after you. And to do that, you have to feel like you are the man, not the kid. Because when you feel like you're the kid, you're not going to go out there and do the things that you would do if you felt like you were the man. And that's where I think the biggest change takes place. I don't think the fathers mean no harm, but the fighters have to realize, and a perfect example is we got a guy sitting right here, right now, Jim Watts. Had Howard Davis Jr. got away from his father a little bit earlier, no way in the world Jim Watt would have beat Howard Davis Jr. But by the time he took the fight, he had already got adjusted to almost like the sparring partner role. He had already adjusted to the kid role, and he was not man enough to defeat Jim Watt.
So sooner or later, the fighter has to get to the point where he says, okay, I'm the boss, Dad. You work for me now.
There you go.
Not easy to do.
Not at all.
Wonder if Montiel is stagnated.
No, I don't think he's stagnated.
Now, is Jim Watt working with British TV?
Now, I don't know who he's working for, but he's here.
There's a tiny mark outside the left eye of Fernando Montiel. Nothing really bothersome, but and indicative that Briceno got in a right hand somewhere along the way. Maybe that overhand right that Roy pointed out in the 3rd round. The referee for tonight's main event is Jay Nady, and just a short time ago, he was in Jermaine Taylor's dressing room to deliver final instructions. Round 7 of a scheduled 12 between Fernando Montiel and Everth Briceno. Montiel in the gold trunks with garnet trim from Los Mochis, Mexico. Everth Briceno, white trunks, green trim, Managua, Nicaragua, brought in on 9 days' notice to take this fight. Harold Letterman, how do you have it?
You know, Chip, I haven't seen a darn thing change in this fight since I gave the score in round 4. 60-54, 6 rounds to nothing. Fernando Montiel. I mean, he's just backing up, and out punching this guy. I mean, now the guy's got him up on the ropes. I don't think he landed a decent shot. Montiel, on the other hand, comes in with that uppercut, lands good right hands to the head. I think he's landed a clean shots. This is probably the best round for Briceno so far. At least he's keeping him up on the ropes. But so far, all Montiel, 6-0.
Yeah, but you know what? Montiel's left eye is beginning to swell just a little bit, and Briceno lands a right hand there. And I think he did get in one good body shot in that earlier flurry. And definitely this is the best round so far for Briceno. And now Montiel tries to stop the damage with a couple of well-placed left hooks and another. Big left hand upstairs by Briceno. Montiel dropped his right just a tiny bit, and Briceno threw his best left hand of the fight. One thing is written in stone. So many times you'll see a Mexican fighter have a moment of difficulty. They go back to the left hook to the body. And that helped to set up the right hand with which Montiel momentarily wobbled Briceno there. But now Briceno shows, as Roy pointed out earlier, good legs, and he comes back. There's a solid right hand by Montiel and a good left hook, and the uppercut lands again. And Briceno can take all of this and keep coming.
And throw his own back, as a matter of fact.
Well, here in round 7, Everth Briceno had some moments early on. And Montiel, in the middle of the round, put together 5 or 6 hard punches in a rally. And now Briceno lands a left hook upstairs, one of his better punches of the fight. And Montiel showboats a little bit. And the crowd seems to jeer the showboating.
Because it stopped some pretty good action.
Okay, deep breaths real quick. Let's get some water. Hey, that was good. You look very good. Almost perfect. Let's keep working and capitalize on that round. The right hand.
And there's Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya, and Marco Antonio Barrera, along with Bernard Hopkins, who will be in the ring tonight. Those are 3 of the mainstay fighters under contract to De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions Company. Great to see Shane and Oscar together. It's a friendship which will last a lifetime, despite their wars in the ring against each other.
Yes, a wonderful thing, a beautiful thing.
A couple of guys who've known each other since they were little kids, traveling to amateur boxing together. Power shots in round 7. Montiel landing 21 out of 55. Briceno 9 out of 54. It was the most active round of the fight so far.
Alto. Cuidado, cabeça. Cuidado, let's go.
In the past, when Shane Mosley wanted to get his career on track, he'd contract for a fight with Oscar De La Hoya and win it. Now he signs with De La Hoya's promotion company. Could a fight with Oscar be far down the line? After all, De La Hoya is talking about 147 pounds also.
Yeah, well, the theory there is if you can beat him, join him.
That's a new one on me. Well, it almost seems as if in the last 2 or 3 rounds, Roy Jones, Briceno decided that Montiel doesn't really have the power to hurt him, and that he can walk right through whatever Montiel's doing to try to keep trying to get in something big.
Well, I think he thought that since round 1, actually, because he never changed his style. He's been doing the same thing all night long.
And maybe he's just getting a little bit more effective at it as Montiel tires.
That's what it is.
Montiel continuing to back away, and Briceno able to land.
And Montiel is not giving him the left and right movement as much as he was earlier.
And Briceno just landed a left hook that got the attention of the crowd. Montiel goes back to that left hook to the body. But Briceno's confidence is rising. Now, I don't know if that will ruffle Montiel at all. He feels, and with justification, that he's in control of the fight, I'm sure. There's certainly more contact than was the case a few rounds ago.
Suéltalo.
Well, in our last between rounds period, we showed you referee Jay Nady's dressing room conversation with Jermaine Taylor and his trainer Pat Burns. Right now, let's take a look at Nady in the dressing room with Bernard Hopkins.
The rule is you can't hit and hold.
Okay, I understand.
So if you're holding,
no, if he's holding me,
if you're holding, it's,
yeah.
it's
right.
open season, and he
right.
can't hit you.
That's
if he's
bingo.
hitting you while he's doing that, he's going to hear from me.
Bingo.
Okay, so
okay. That's
if he's holding and hitting, he'll hear from me.
Okay.
If he's holding you, it's open season.
Okay.
All right. But if both people are holding, I will stop, break, and then we'll go back.
I got you. I got you on that one.
And remember, if I say stop, don't hit him.
Okay.
And if he hits you, we'll discuss that in the ring. We'll administer that at the time.
No problem.
Intentional.
Roy Jones, he refereed your fight with John Ruiz, Jay Nady. He is known to be tough on the rough stuff. Bad for Hopkins?
No, I think it's good for Hopkins. It'll force Hopkins to fight the kind of fight that the public wants to see, that people are paying to see. So I think it's a good thing.
CompuBox numbers in round 8. Briceno landing 14 out of 63 punches. That's the first round in which he has outlanded Montiel. He also threw 15 more punches. And it's clear, as I said in the last round, Briceno's confidence in the fight is rising. And if Montiel took him lightly, he may begin to pay a price over these next few rounds. It's almost impossible to take an opponent on 9 days' notice and not take him lightly, right?
Almost.
I mean, when he's somebody you've never heard of from Managua, Nicaragua, never fought outside of Managua, there's no way you know. Gary Gittleson, manager for Fernando Montiel, acknowledged the problem, said, well, we looked at one videotape, but the fact of the matter is, a lot of the things we would normally know about an opponent, we don't have a clue. One thing they may be learning is that he gets stronger over the course of a fight.
And he don't care what you hit him when you give him the ring post, he still keeps coming.
Briceno willing to take one, or take 3 to give 1. In the first few rounds, it didn't look as though it was going to profit him. More and more frequently, Montiel's counters are one punch at a time. That creates more and more opportunities for Briceno to try combinations.
Yeah, that means he's getting a little tired now, he's a little weary. His legs aren't as active as they were early in the fight, and that's giving Briceno a chance to get more punches off and actually to make more contact. The target is not moving as much as it was early.
Hard right hand by Montiel. And still Briceno keeps coming. Low blow by Montiel. Tony Weeks warns him. I wonder if that was a purpose punch.
I don't think it was. And I don't think it's going to slow Briceno down at all.
It didn't. Meanwhile, Larry Merchant and Bernard Hopkins, as boxing fans know, have a colorful history together. Here now, the next installment in the ongoing relationship between Bernard and Larry, as soon as the round ends, we'll go live to Hopkins' dressing room where Larry is standing by.
Thank you, Jim. Bernard, you've said expect the unexpected in this fight. What do you mean by that?
Well, someone not to expect, or respect their opponent is a fool. History shows that if you don't do that, then you already lost. But I respect it.
Thank you very much, Bernard. Guys?
All right, thank you very much, Larry. Harold, we're in the 10th round. How have you scored the first 9?
Okay, Jim. Well, I tell you, in round 8, I thought that Everth Briceno finally got inside and moved his hands enough to win a round. 8 rounds to 1, 89-82, Fernando Montiel. Jim, he's just backing up, but landed the cleaner shots. You know, I don't No. The guy took the fight at the last minute, but somebody forgot to tell him he's in a world title fight. I mean, this is a chance of a lifetime. Get inside and whack Montiel. He's not doing it. 8-1, Montiel.
Well, hell, he's trying. He's been trying to do it all night.
But you can't give a guy a round for trying.
Montiel knocked Briceno's mouthpiece out. The mouthpiece now sits tantalizingly on the canvas in front of us. Tony Weeks will come and get it.
But you can't kill a bear with a BB gun either.
Come on. Put it back in. Don't say it. Don't say anything. Put it back in. There we go. Time in. Let's go.
It was a solid right hand from Montiel that deposited the mouthpiece onto the canvas, but Briceno kept fighting. There's another hard right hand by Montiel right there. Montiel seems to have gotten some new energy between rounds.
Oh, no.
Fighting more here the way he did in the 5th and 6th.
Manos libres. No.
I know Montiel is wondering when are my punches going to start affecting this guy. He hit him with everything he wants to hit him with, as often and as clean as he would like to hit him, and still nothing happens.
Well, and he's never scored a knockout past the 7th round, as the graphic told you, so it would be very difficult to imagine that it's going to happen here, particularly with Briceno seeming to get stronger as the fight progresses. They live hard in Nicaragua. They can take punishment. Right hand over the top by Briceno. That was definitely a concentration flaw. Montiel just dropped his hands and allowed Briceno to pop him.
He see Montiel land a left hook that actually threw the mouthpiece out of his mouth, then a straight right hand shortly after the mouthpiece was gone. It was a beautiful left hook that landed. He see again Montiel with the beautiful check hook. Boom, there goes the mouthpiece. And now here comes another straight right hand just to punctuate the combination.
Don't let him be first. Come on, you got to be first. We got to make a good impression here. Yeah, he's getting a little confidence, so we got to stop him. We can't let him get us. You got more punches. He doesn't like this.
That's a push down. That was not a knockdown. The ring canvas must have gotten pretty slippery because every time these guys throw punches now, somebody's slipping or sliding or about to fall down. Not from a punch, from the water on the floor of the canvas. Montiel just slipped a beautiful combination in, slipped the left hand, then slipped the right hand. Beautiful defense by Montiel.
No hagas eso. Pelea olímpico.
That was not a knockdown. That was a kind of a lay down to get the guy off of his head. Smart move by Montiel. Don't let the guy put his weight on the back of your neck because it could cause an injury. Oh my goodness, good right hand by Briceno. And this is the first time that Briceno has ever gone past the 10th round. And it does not look like he's going to slow down at all. Good body shot with right hand over the top by Briceno. Couldn't ask for a guy with much more nerves. Or much more heart. Another good right hand by Briceno. And he constantly stays under attack. Montiel seems to have no respect at all for Briceno's punching power anymore. There was another right hand by Briceno.
No.
Good overhand right followed by a left uppercut from Montiel. Look like I got a little nosebleed from Montiel right now from that right hand of Briceno's. Oh, good left hand by Montiel. Oh, good right hand by Briceno. He's landed that right hand more this round than any other round, I think.
Come on, let's sit down. Come on, this is the last round. You got to give it all you got. We still can win. You got to put it all in it. Put all your balls, all your curve. Okay, don't just jump around. Yeah, plant yourself real good. That's it. We can't wait. Nice and calm. The title still is yours. You got to keep going.
CompuBox numbers in the 11th round. Montiel 13 out of 53. Briceno 21 out of 95. I see this all the time. Roy Jones, the guy throws 95 punches in the 11th round, and my question is, why didn't he do it in the 3rd or the 4th round?
He had to warm up. It's his style of fighting. He's still training for 15-round fights, not 12 rounds.
Well, this fight has gotten better and better as the rounds have gone on, and thank heaven for that, because it was no great attraction for the first 5 or 6 rounds. But Briceno, by pressing the issue and sticking with the fight, has managed to make it considerably more entertaining down the stretch.
Yeah, he got Montiel's nose bleeding now. He landed like about 5 of those big right hands in the last round.
And Montiel, after this experience, may go back and say to his promoter and manager, I don't want to see any more opponents on 9 days' notice. Let me know who they are first.
Definitely not from Nicaragua.
In the years since his near upending by Vitaly Klitschko, Lennox Lewis has admitted what he didn't admit that night, which was taking an opponent on 11 days' notice almost turned out to be a disaster. He had trained to fight smaller, quicker guys. Briceno is a harder puncher, or at least a more devoted hard puncher than Eric Morel, the boxer whom Montiel had expected to fight tonight.
He didn't expect to see a lot of wood log like this guy is, because this guy just will not go away.
Right. In the era of the 15-round fight, he'd have been a factor, huh?
He's been a real factor in the era of a 15-round fight.
Backs Montiel up into a corner and strafes him with power shots again.
Is it Nicaragua that has the high altitude?
Some of it.
Yeah.
Some of it, but Managua, I believe, is at sea level.
He must go train at the high part of Nicaragua then, because he's in some terrific
He has
shape.
definitely got stamina.
No.
Good hook by Briceno.
Even his punches look better down the stretch. They were weak and tentative early on. Now he throws them with commitment.
I think he's just going to run out of time in this fight.
Which will leave Montiel with his title belt in the junior bantamweight class. But Montiel has not managed to do anything here before the Vegas crowd or the ringside assembled media to suggest that he could be a force against larger fighters. So a lift for Fernando Montiel, and just for the heck of it, Briceno's trainer lifts him up and carries him around too. There'll be one more preliminary fight on the card after this one prior to the main event, coming up at about 11 o'clock Eastern time between Jermaine Taylor and Bernard Hopkins. Hopkins looking for a 21st consecutive successful title defense in the middleweight division. CompuBox numbers in the 12th round. Briceno threw 108 punches in that round. So in the last 2 rounds, he got off 203 punches. He landed 25 out of the 108. Montiel 14 out of 85. Briceno 18 out of 78 power shots there in the 12th round. The 11th and 12th rounds appeared to be the best ones for the fighter from Nicaragua. And let's take a look at final CompuBox numbers to see how he was able to even those up down the stretch. Total punches landed, Montiel landing 20 more, throwing 232 less, thus the 10% difference in connect percentage. Jabs, Montiel landing only 12 out of 114 jabs. He went away from it early and stuck with his counter punches from there on out. Briceno using 319 jabs to try to set up his overhand right and left hook. Landed only 34 of them. Michael Buffer stands by with the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards here at the MGM Grand. Adelaide Bird scores the contest 118 to 110. Raul Caiz has it 117 to 111. Same score, 117 to 111 from Bert Clements. All to the winner by unanimous decision, and still WBO Junior Bantamweight World Champion Fernando Montiel.
So Fernando Montiel learns from the crowd here what often a fighter will learn after winning a fight going backward. And that is that a lot of